Hi, Manish.
Hi, Prajakta. How are you doing?
I am well. How are you?
Good. Enjoying my time in Bangalore. I think the weather is good. It
Lovely,
rains a
lovely.
bit here
Bangalore
and
is a
there.
city that's on my bucket list, and I haven't been
Yes.
yet.
Yeah.
But I'm very happy to hear about what you've been up to. It's
Yeah.
actually been a year since we graduated from the mid-career MPA program at the Kennedy School.
Yes. It's been a year, and I think quite an eventful year for me. I think,
Absolutely.
yeah, a lot of
Yes.
things have happened. Yeah.
A lot of things have happened, and the not the least of which is that your book Unlocking Success is now a bestseller on Amazon. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. All
How
God's
is it
grace. And I
feeling?
think,
How's the excitement? Share with us a little
well,
bit.
I mean, I'm a first-time book writer, so I think in my mind, like everything is new for me. So just getting in fact, getting a physical copy of my own book in my hand was also very emotional. Plus,
Okay.
I think just seeing that batch of the bestseller arrive, like appear on the Amazon list, that
Yeah.
was quite. I would say I was quite happy when I saw this. I mean,
Uh-huh.
happy as well as like a bit intrigued that okay, this is how it happens. Like we hear about it, and
Yes.
now it happens to you. So I think yeah, I think
That's
yeah,
amazing. So, do you have a copy of it with you right now?
yeah,
Why don't
I
you show
have it.
us?
Yes.
Amazing. That a little bit closer to the camera, maybe.
Yep.
Unlocking Success, a guide to authentic leadership for Indian youth,
Yes.
right?
Yes. Yep.
Amazing. And it has the Spark framework. I was quite intrigued by the Spark framework, and we'll go there because I'm very curious about this. But I wanted to ask you, so you said that first time author, holding your book in your hand, it must have been a special feeling. What's the craziest thing you did when it arrived?
Well, I open to check if everything looks the same way that I submitted. Number one, of course.
That is so
But
classic Manish, isn't it?
yeah, I mean, like,
Meticulous.
see, it's one thing to submit a manuscript in
Yeah,
a digital format. It's very different thing to actually have it in real paper. That's
yeah,
one.
yeah.
Second thing is I showed it to my daughter and my wife. In fact,
Yes.
as I was writing it, I had my daughter in mind, right? And as to
Right.
because it's for Indian youth, right? And my daughter is now almost turning 17, so it's
Wow.
pretty appropriate for her. So I
Yes.
think those two things I would say, and of course, I was talking to my wife as well because she knows me intimately. Like, so I wanted to like, okay, take a look at it, and does it feel like authentic and real coming from me? And I think those are the two, three things I did right away as soon as
Amazing.
I got the very first publisher
Yeah.
copy that was sort of couriered to me by my
Right.
publisher, Penguin Publication.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's really interesting you share that because I remember when I wrote my book, The Buddha Balance Journal, one
Yeah.
of the first people to read it cover to cover and do all the exercises was my daughter, who was 8 years old at that time. And
Okay.
it's so fascinating that we may have, studied at Harvard, done big things in our career, but the most important thing is when the validation comes from someone who's important to you.
Yeah,
Like,
this is so correct. And I kind of feel like we have a common connection there that your book was also read by your daughter first. I think the
yes,
same way I showed it to my daughter.
yeah.
And you're so right. I mean, like, you know, and if I step back and think about it, I mean, we do need this, like the validation that comes from our people, it's
Mm.
far more valuable than sort of all the Harvards of the world that we have done, right, in
Right,
our life.
right, right.
So I think
100%.
seeing that I would say that spark of
Yeah,
excitement and sort of a bit of a assurance from their side goes a long way.
absolutely.
At least
Absolutely.
for me, because as a first-time author, I was like, I don't know how the world will receive it, and
Yeah.
what I've written, does it really make sense? Like, and so once I got that sort of a
Yes.
look of comfort and assurance, I
Yeah.
felt much better.
And now, I mean, the way the book is doing, I think that question is moot because it's become a bestseller and it's helping people in the interview preparation category. It's clearly there's material there that's of real value to Indian youth. Um,
Yeah, no, I think even more, I mean, the more I'm thinking about it, I mean, one, I was surprised. And secondly, when I was trying to rationalize, like, think about like why it has become a bestseller, it seems to
mhm.
me that particularly in the age of AI, when technical questions become less important because everyone knows that the AI can do it, it is the leadership side of things. And
Absolutely.
how do you come across as a leader and connect at a human level?
Yes.
That is what is becoming so much more relevant. And that is why sort of it is doing so well in the career development, interview preparation
Yeah.
aspect.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was not something I thought about it that deeply. I wrote about it as a as a sort of a guidebook for the 22-year version of myself.
Right.
But if you think about it, I mean, it's quite relevant to the youth in India at this current time.
Amazing, amazing. And this is so interesting. So tell me a little bit more about this origin story that you just referred to. So partly you wrote it because you're seeing your daughter grow up into a 17-year-old and soon to be a 20-something in just a few years. And then there's a part of you which is your 22-year-old self, which is, I'm sure, pretty alive still, right?
Yes,
So
yes.
tell me
I
how
would
you
love to think that
reconcile.
way as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
tell me how you reconciled these two, because the youth of today are facing a very different world than when we were younger and we were entering our careers. So, how did you
Yeah.
reconcile that?
No, it's a very good question, Prajakta. So, as I was writing this book, I've abstracted away things to say, okay, what is real success and what will give you sort of
Hmm.
that happiness of having a very rewarding career. And that's what I've abstracted away.
Yeah.
Over a period of time, many things change. I mean, when I was growing up, I mean, .com was the thing, and I think then the mobile became a thing, and then social media became a thing, and now AI is a thing.
Yeah.
But ultimately, what I talk about is that what is the source of, everlasting happiness and success from a career perspective.
Hmm.
And the inspiration of this I got primarily from the perspective that a lot of people in India reached out to me on LinkedIn and social media asking for my advice. And they saw me as someone who came from India's hinterland, but someone who has made it big in the global scale at a global level.
Yeah.
So I used to give out a lot of advice, and I was a mentor to many people, right? And this advice was given via social media and primary LinkedIn and through different in-person discussion. So when I was at Harvard as a fellow, I got the time to actually put everything together in a framework and said, okay, like rather than giving out one-off advice to different people,
Yeah.
why don't I put a nice framework to it
Yeah.
so it's easy to remember? And that's how the Spark framework came up. And
Okay.
then I wrote this book. And I was writing a book. I had to imagine a persona for whom I am writing. So I
Mm.
had two personas in my mind. One was like, okay, if I was writing for myself when I was 22 years old, when I was like very ambitious, wanted to achieve a lot of things, but also very unsure about what will give me success and what should I try out. So
Yeah.
one was that persona of, if I were to give that advice saying, okay, here is what you should do. And I
Mm.
had the benefit of hindsight. I could reflect and say, okay, what are the things I did? What worked out? What didn't work out? Where I did something knowing it would be very successful, I'll be very happy. And it turned out that I was not really happy doing it. And I had to pivot. At the same time, the second persona was my daughter as well, thinking about like, because she is curious, she's the new generation, she looks at things very differently. When I and she, we like I and she talk, she opens my mind to like, okay, here is how the next generation would sort of look at the same world, right? So I
Okay.
needed a persona of a person who is of the current generation or the
Mm.
Gen Z kind of a generation.
Right.
At the same time, someone who I could then explain what life really means and what it means to sort of run the marathon of life, right? So I had to
Absolutely.
bring those three things together, and that really helped me basically crystallize my thinking into something which is going to be very relevant to the audience. So that's
Right.
how it all came together. And it was a
Amazing.
year-long process, and I think you were there as well when
Yes.
we were
Yes.
all doing this, and you were with me at Harvard as well.
Yes.
So that entire time, and also also want to acknowledge one more thing. The the comfort around writing something of this kind came from the class I took with Professor Grant Freeland.
I
You
see.
know, yeah. So
Yes.
he takes a course at Harvard, which is about meaning and success of life and
Yeah.
purpose of life and how to live a very fulfilling life.
Absolutely.
So I think I draw many inspiration by attending that class, but of course I was able to reflect on my own journey and have these two persona in my mind
Yeah.
that gave me the inspiration to put it down on a piece of paper.
Amazing, amazing. And I'm sure that having these two personas, one of them kept you honest. I think your daughter's persona kept you honest, and your own persona as a 22-year-old must have made you ambitious, because you could now in hindsight say anything and everything in terms of
Yeah.
advice. So for writers, this is great advice to work with a persona. And usually, like, I try to do this as well, write for an audience of one,
Yeah.
and then that would apply to a whole demographic eventually. But when you're writing, I think it's so important to write for an audience of one. It's almost like a one-to-one conversation.
Yeah, no, exactly. You're so correct because the whole book is written not to pontificate, but to sort of
Mhm.
have that conversation that I would have my daughter or with my
Right.
own 22-year-old version saying, hey, here is how it is. This is
Yeah.
like honest, right?
Yes.
And it's a very authentic conversation. And I think when you read the book, that's how you would feel that, okay, it's a very relatable conversation. And the examples are also being drawn from my own life or life of people I have seen around me. So very authentic examples as well.
True.
So it's very easy for someone to read,
Mhm.
follow, and also assimilate,
Right.
reflect, and also action, right?
Yeah.
All those things become very easy for people to do.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing. And
Yeah.
you're right in the sense that it being easy to do is just as important as giving the nuggets of wisdom. I think that's really,
Yeah,
really
yeah,
important, especially
yeah,
for this younger generation, which is so much busier at this age than we used to be at their age.
yeah.
So
No,
their time
you,
is
s- you,
precious.
yeah. I mean, you are so right. And that's why what I also tried to do was when I was reading the first draft, I realized that I'm throwing a lot of things at them
Mm.
and how I was not sure how much they will retain and sort of what will come out of it. So
Yeah.
I actually cut down things and I asked a lot more reflective question that, okay, what would you do in this situation? Or have you reflected on this? Or
Yes.
have you thought through these things?
Yeah.
So that I gave them a bit of a framework and some kind of a foundation, but
Right.
then I also left a lot of room for them to reflect
Yeah.
and figure things out. So it becomes almost like I would say, a workbook for them if they
That's
if they want
great.
to take it seriously. Yeah.
Yes.
In
Amazing.
fact, I also realized that your book was also of the similar kind. I think, and I feel like
Exactly. I
giving a
was,
bit of a experience and giving a bit of a
yes,
freedom for them to also take it and do something of their own
absolutely.
makes the impact even more long lasting.
No, you couldn't be more correct in that sense. And to share, why my book was in the format of a workbook. There are people who got my book and then read it from start to end, read all the exercises. They got the wisdom out of the book. But then the ones who actually did the exercises, I think they had access to the wisdom which is within them. So I'm very glad to hear that you've written this in the form of a book and workbook because
Yeah, the
the
wisdom
wisdom
within them
within
is an
us.
amazing term, Prajakta, because the more I reflect, think about it, in today's world, knowledge or information is everywhere, right?
Yeah,
And then you have to find your own wisdom, which is right
absolutely.
for you,
Yeah,
given your environment and your knowledge access, which is now
yes.
almost infinite, right? So
Yeah,
the statement you made about wisdom within you actually applies not just to your book, but to my book as well.
absolutely. And in fact, if I may also add, I once heard someone give this advice. When you're looking for a guru, find a person who will take you closer to the wisdom within you, not away from it.
So
You
this
know?
is this is so applicable to the concept of authenticity that I talk about.
Absolutely.
Self-awareness and authenticity.
And in a
That
sense, you are becoming that guru by writing this book for people
yeah,
who's taking
yeah,
them closer to their own wisdom rather than away from it. So I'm very
yeah,
pleased to hear that you've adopted this format. But I'm very
yeah,
curious about the framework as well that you've referred to. So Spark, right? It's called Spark.
yeah.
Is
Spark.
this
Yeah,
an acronym or does it mean something? Tell us a bit more about
yeah.
this.
I think it's an acronym primarily, but also means like ignite your spark and be
Okay,
successful. But I'll tell you the acronym, right?
I see.
So Spark is SPARK.